Alright guys, so today is going to be an instructional video because I have scoured the internet to see if there's anything on it out there, and there's not. Today I'm going to be converting my VG30i engine 1987 Nissan Pathfinder 5-speed 4-wheel drive. That is a throttle body injected V6. Let me pop the hood on it for y'all so y'all can see what that engine looks like. It has been throwing a code for throttle position sensor forever now. I have rebuilt everything wiring related. I'm not considering myself to be an expert, but I'm pretty damn good. I've checked ohms, continuity, voltage regulation, actuation of the new throttle position sensor, everything. Nothing's wrong, but the engine keeps going in a limp mode and it keeps shutting off fuel. I'm just gonna pop this hood up real quick so I can show y'all. Anyway, so today I will leave a link down in the description to where you can get one of these carburetor kits if you're looking for it. This brand is called Weber Carburetors, W-E-B-E-R, and the kit that they send you, it was I think $469 and some change, and I believe shipping was free. It comes with your air cleaner, all the hardware in there for that. It's going to come with, let me shut this around real quick, with all of your fuel lines and vacuum hoses required for the installation, plates, adapters, gaskets, everything for the carburetor. It comes with a very detailed instruction manual. I was actually pretty pleased to see that. As you can see, it is for 1986 to 1992 Hitachi TBI and Nissan pickup with a Z24i and or the VG30i engine, which is what I have. This is supposedly, from what I've read online on a couple of sources, this conversion will not only give you a little bit of a power gain, but you can actually end up getting better economy if you're down at sea level, which I'm actually looking forward to, because before this thing finally clapped out on me, it wasn't getting the best mileage. I have replaced fuel pump, I have replaced fuel filters, I have replaced the entire distributor and cap and rotor and all that stuff. Like, guys, I've replaced everything on here that really could be replaced, and nothing seemed to get the job done. And this is a good looking carburetor. Let's go ahead and pop this out. Let me make some room up here real quick, guys. Basically, if it could have been replaced, I replaced it. I've done new timing belt and gears and cogs and tensioners and everything, and it's just not working. I have vacuum tested this entire engine. Nothing is wrong with it, but the computer thinks that it is. And I know there's some of you out there right now that are going to be saying, well, why don't you just get a new computer for it? Because it is really, really hard to find, well, damn near impossible to find new parts for this thing, and I cannot get this carburetor out. There we go. So that is the carburetor. It's a pretty looking carburetor, that's for sure. Looks like it's actuated really smoothly. Vacuum return pump, I'm assuming. Oh, and another thing. So carburetors, as most of you might know, and also some of you who might not know, carburetors do not require nearly as much fuel pressure as injected systems do. This one here runs off a 22 psi stock. That's with the throttle body injection. This one, however, does come with, let's see, where is it at? I think it's going to be in here. It comes with a new fuel pressure regulator that allows you to not ever have to change out the fuel pump itself from your stock setup. So this here is going to be your fuel pressure regulator, and there's your adjustment up top. This vacuum is not used on this model. And basically, yeah, so you see here, 1.5 to 25 psi. And in the instruction book here, it does give you the specs on how many turns out to do, things like that. I do have a fuel pressure gauge set, so I can check the fuel pressure as it's coming in at idle and while revving up as well. So I will be using that. You got your mounting bracket and everything in here as well. Also the extra plugs, because not all of these orifices are going to be used. But yeah, this is the only carburetor kit out there for this model, and I have to say that I'm really lucky to say that it is a 100% complete kit. There's no modding or anything like that. It's okay. I take that back. There might be a couple of things here and there that you have to like slightly tweak, but you're not going to need like an engineering degree in order to do that. So basically, this is going to end up sitting on right here, just like that. As you can see, that's where the throttle linkage is down there. It's going to be sitting on there like that. Your fuel inlet is back here. That's plugged off. That's capped off. You have all of your adjustments and everything on there. And the air cleaner does clear the hood. That was one of the things I was worried about. And it gave measurements and everything, and I checked it, and it will clear the hood. You don't have to worry about, you know, removing your liner or anything like that. And it said that there might be some modifications required in order to run the AC system. I don't think that I'm going to really have to worry about that too much. If I have to bump the idle up just a little bit during the warmer weather and then drop it back down during the colder weather, I'm completely okay with that. You know, part of having a vehicle like this, especially one that's a 1987, you know, it's over 30 years old now. Wait, 87, 97, 07. Yeah, so yeah, it's over 30 years old. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. It's over 30 years old. You're going to end up having to make tweaks here and there. I've been really lucky with this vehicle. I got it for damn near nothing. The guy had put brand new Goodyear tires on it, and it's 4-wheel drive. It's a 5-speed, which I like. The only thing that's not done to this yet is I don't have a radio in it yet, but that's about it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop rambling here. I'm going to go ahead and get everything prepped up, and I'm going to jump back in the video. The thing we're going to do is we're going to start by removing the throttle linkage and the various hoses around here. Now, if you don't have a good sense of what each hose goes to, I would go ahead and mark them either with Scotch tape or packing tape or something like that. Something that, you know, is easily removed and isn't going to score the parts themselves. I'm going to go ahead and start by taking off the throttle linkage here and then work on the fuel lines and then start meticulously disconnecting the vacuum lines without trying to break them. So I've removed the throttle linkage bracket. The fuel lines I've tucked up out of the way. I've gotten a lot of these sensory plugs unplugged, mass airflow unplugged, throttle position I have unplugged. Both plugs to it. I've got a lot of these vacuum lines pulled away. This coolant line right here that goes to this wax-based cold high idle solenoid thing, whatever you want to call it. It was beyond brittle. It was more like cast iron is what it felt like. It just snapped right off even though I loosened this. So yeah, be careful of that. It does come with some extra hoses, so I don't think we're going to have any issues there. Plus, I've got some hose laying around. But yeah, next step, I'm going to start removing these nuts that are on the four corners of this carburetor here in order to get this lifted off to see what else there is to disassemble, and then we'll get the surfaces prepped and ready to go for the new carb. I'm handed right now because I wanted to show you that it is way easier after you get those 4 nuts removed off of the carburetor intake studs. Lift up the carburetor and kind of like peel it back like that, and then you can get to this heater line way easier with a flathead screwdriver. You just come at it right here, and then not only that, but once you come in and get that loose, all you got to do is just push down right here, and then it should pop free. I'm gonna look into trying and delete these just because these are all brittle as hell. So yeah, anyway, that's just a little trick to look out for. This is the bottom part where that adapter plate is going to go on. It's identical image. I actually did not know that my intake was that clean. I was pretty damn impressed. You can see all the crap from the EGR setup. Not too happy about that. I really hate EGRs. Yeah, I get it. It's good for the environment, but you see what it does to your vehicle. So yeah, this is probably I'd say like 206,000 miles worth of crud buildup, and I did a seafoam treatment on this thing about 3,000 miles ago. So yeah, it's not good, not good at all. Anyway, I'm gonna get this line off and we will reconnect as soon as I figure out a couple other things. But anyway, yeah, she's out. Again, just broke right off. So, definitely gonna have to do something about that. There's the old piece of junk. Don't need that. Let's grab these plates here. So, in the instructions, I mean, really, it's more or less like picture instructions. Let me go ahead and rip this open. go. Flop that back. Yes, I know the gaskets are going to get a little dirty, but I still got to grease them anyway. So as you can see, this is going to go like so, right there, and then this is going to be the adapter plate for the carburetor setup. Here is the hardware, and it should be pretty self-explanatory in the instructions. Again, vehicle specific, things are going to vary. I think I have to actually take these studs out now that I look at it, because it looks like these here are the ones that get countersunk in there. So I'm going to work on getting these removed, and once I get all that put together and I get it ready to line up with the carburetor, I'm going to start recording again so that we can go over the process together of what line's going to go where and how to also set up the fuel pressure regulator system. Studs out, they were pretty damn tight in there, so I would recommend using a pair of vice grips. That's what I ended up doing. I'm just getting everything set up. You'll notice that one side, these corner holes do not have bevels, and then the other side, they're countersunk, ready to go. So what you want to do is make sure that you clean off the surface. I use this shop cloth over here to do that. Clean off the surface of the intake manifold, and then if you have it, use a light smearing of like either axle grease, you know, the purple stuff that you get in a can. If you don't, just make sure it's good and clean, that you tighten everything down properly. I would really recommend using a torque stick if you have one, preferably in inch-pounds. I don't know what these are spec'd out to be, or if there even is specs on it. I'm just going to get it tight to my level of liking. Basically, what I try to do, especially working with any kind of gasket material, and this is a cardboard gasket material, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bottom it out until it's, pretty well sunk in there and basically stopped. That's not the right size. I'm going to bottom it out in there, and then as soon as it's, basically just to the point where it starts crushing the gasket material, I'm going to go a quarter of a turn on each one and then see how they all feel after that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I got to go get the right size Allen key, and I'll be right back. At the diagram again in the instruction manual, and this here, you'll notice, is a lot thicker. Sorry, let me get better light. This gasket here is a lot thicker. It's more of a plasticky type material. This is going to be the piece that goes directly underneath your carburetor. This plate here on this model, in the diagram it shows that it has a line for the power brake vacuum line. However, this one here does not seem to have that. I think that that is just a general rule of thumb with their Weber carburetor. On the VG30I, it actually has a secondary line that goes down into the intake manifold for your vacuum, for your power brake setup. So we're not going to worry about that. Again, just like the bottom plate here, if you look on the secondary plate, there's 4 holes that make a cross section. One side has countersunk holes for it, the other side doesn't. You want to make sure that you have access to the countersunk side up top. Now we're going to take one of these gaskets here, we're going to set it down, center it up, and then just to kind of keep with the symmetry of things, I'm going to put this side over here. It does not matter either or side, whether it's like this or like that, doesn't matter, but I'm going to keep with the symmetry of things and put it on like that. And then these little black cap screws are the ones that go in its place, and you can see that once they get into the slot, they are countersunk perfectly once you screw these in. You'll see that they'll be nice and flush, and then these are where you're going to put the studs for your carburetor. And I'm going to get that set up, ready to go, and then I will get back to y'all whenever we're ready to put the carburetor on. So what I ended up doing was basically bottoming these out with the longer end up top by hand, just as much as I could. Yes, I know I'm using a Torx bit, do not hate me. Got them out to where they're bottom out just barely, like starting to make contact, pretty snug. And then I went ahead and gave them a quarter of a turn each, and then went over them one more time to make sure that everything was good, and that we didn't take too much slack out of the gasket material. Anyway, that seemed to work for the base and also for the top. Now for these studs here, what you're going to want to do is thread them in as much as you can by hand, and then there's a little trick that you can do in order to get them tighter. You just go ahead and start all these, just basically bottoming out until we can't go any farther with our hand. Okay, and then you're going to take one of these nuts that comes with it, thread it down a little bit, and then take another nut right on top of that. And what that's going to do is that's going to lock those together. And let me set the phone down. Let's see, can you see it like that? Let's see if I can get this settled here. I'm trying to find a good spot for it, guys. Hang on, bear with me. Oh, of course that's in the way. Come on. Can you see the nuts? No. All right, that's holding. Let me tap there, see if I can't focus in. Focus in. There we go. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the 12 millimeter that I was using to take off the existing ones, and then I'm going to use a pair of vice grips like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten these two nuts together, and what that's going to do is that's going to cause them to lock into place. Now once they're locked into place, you can go ahead and take your 12 and you can tighten these down even more so. And then once they stop doing it with the lock nut already on it, that's as tight as you want to get it. Studs all tightened down, and we have the new carburetor gasket in place. Let's go ahead and slide this puppy into its spot just to get a quick little teaser shot of what this is going to look like. Come on. Woo! Damn, that looks good. That's a good looking thumbnail right there. Let me, got it. Okay, so you can see your fuel inlet right here. And again, the way that this fuel pressure regulator works off of the stock fuel pump, for all instructive purposes only, we're going to say that there's only a couple of these ports working. There's going to be this one here, this one here, this one doesn't exist, and then this one down here is the one that is going to be open. Fuel goes in here, and then 3 psi max comes out of this end right here that goes to the carburetor. And then the extra pressure and fuel comes out the bottom here and then goes back into your return line back into the tank. And that's how that works. And this has a mounting bracket. I need to look at it and see where we're going to mount that at on here. It might go onto the side of the carb there. I'm not entirely sure. We're going to find that out here right now. I have mounted the carburetor. I've put the throttle linkage on. I now see that I have to take these two bolts off in order, or these two nuts off of these studs in order to get the throttle cable linkage hooked on. It looks like this is a square type. I don't quite know how this is going to work out. Let me see here. I just want to make sure that it's not too big for these nuts. No pun intended. That was not a meme. Too late. Somebody's already turned it into one. Let's see here. I think it will hold. I think it will. But yeah, got that on. I'm going to go look at the paperwork real quick. A couple things I need to work out is what wire / plug is going to go into this slot right here. Setting up the fuel pressure regulator. Trying to memorize what each of these screws works. I know this one here is your idle adjustment. I think this one here is your air idle adjustment. You have the jets down in there. These are 770s for anybody who's wondering. Those are the ones that are in it right now. These are your air cleaner studs. That's where you're going to put your nuts on for the air cleaner. And yeah, we're gonna go check that out real quick. I had to do the first bit of modification out of this entire process. For the throttle linkage, I ended up putting the bracket on, and when I put the cable in, I noticed that whenever I ran the bead into this holder here and I let off, the throttle was stopping like basically like right there. It was not closing all the way down, and now I don't know why. Oh, right here. So I'm gonna end up having to bend that back because when I had to take this nut off, I had to bend this stopper right here on the end of the cable in order to get that nut off. And I had to take the 2 washers that it came with, I had to drill them out in order to fit over this this holding right here, in order to hold it in its spot. Now it's solid, it's not going anywhere. Pretty easy process. Basically all I did was I took a stepper drill bit and I drilled it down to 7/16 right there, as you can see, and basically it slid right over, no problem. Now it's good and strong, it's sturdy. I got my the nuts on the carburetor studs tightened down. I'm gonna get this nipple off right here. I'm gonna bend the cable back so that way it's sitting flat and straight and it doesn't keep hanging up on this bar right here. I might even just go ahead and flip it, maybe that'll be easier. Once we get that done, I've picked a spot that I want to mount the fuel pressure regulator. Down here there is a ground, basically a ground strap that goes straight off of your negative battery terminal. I'm gonna lift it up and I'm gonna put it in there at an angle. The bracket that it comes with is angled, so basically it's going to be sitting in there like this, and that'll allow me to tap straight into the fuel return line right here. And whenever I get that, that's going to be this line right here that follows down on the side of your fuel filter. And then I can run the fuel inlet, sorry, like that. And then I can run the fuel inlet off of this front post right here and then run it straight over into the carburetor. And I'm going to get that mounted up. Got all these tightened up to where they're no longer leaking. There's plugs on the back here and then down here, and I really had to crank down on these the base fittings on the inlet and outlet. And what I did was I ended up putting Teflon tape on the plugs for both sides. This brass fitting right here, that O-ring, not leaking at all. Like I said, it's only going to be about 3 psi. Got the fuel line in, just gave it a quick purge, and let me see if you can hear it. She is spraying fuel, guys, so no leaks, good pressure. I ended up using my fuel pressure gauge here, and it works beautifully. I got that from Harbor Freight. Love this thing, especially for carbureted engines because it's a really low pressure style of fuel pressure, and it also does vacuum pressure as well. So if you're ever needing it to, you know, detect vacuum levels, sync up carburetors, things like that, this thing is amazing for that. Anyway, next process right now is I'm going to look and see if there's anything in the diagram about bypassing this anti-backfire. If there's not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up just shoving this on here and basically just tightening it down and maybe zip tying it secured somewhere. Next step is going to be rerouting all the vacuum lines. So that's the first thing I'm going to work on. I haven't seen anything yet about the spare electrical. Like I said, if I don't need it, I'm just going to rip it out, tie it maybe down to itself down here. Basically just clean up the engine bay a little bit. That's less crap that can go wrong. When it came down to bridging this heater line to the back here, I ended up unclamping this breather line for your what the hell is it called? Basically the PCV, positive crankcase ventilation tube. I loosened it up and moved it back here, and that allowed me to get access with a pair of vice grips to pull the old hose off. I got everything tightened down now, so it should be good to go there. It should seal. This hose is brittle as hell. It basically feels like hard plastic now. So getting this back on is going to be a little sketchy. There we go. It's not bad at all, actually. And I'm just gonna put my vice grips on that. Tighten these babies up a little. Vice grips seem to be the miracle tool for this install. There's a lot of things that need to have some brute force put on it, and the vice grips seem to get it done pretty well. I cannot seem to find my wrench set. I think it's in my truck, actually. So what I ended up doing for that was just using a pair of channel locks, or not channel locks, crescent wrenches, and it worked out pretty good. The nuts on here, or the hex heads anyway, they're pretty thin, so I wouldn't recommend using a very large set. The main thing is that you really got to make sure that you squish that rubber O-ring that comes in on these. Really squish it in there really tight. You really don't have to worry about the threads, because the threads go pretty deep on them and they're pretty aggressive. So don't like Hulk handle it. Like, it ain't got to be butthole tight or anything like that, but you know, you don't have to be worried about stripping them under, you know, like normal hand pressure with just hand tools. I really would not use anything that's like super extended, like handle that's about this long or so, maybe even a little longer, you'll be okay with, especially if you're using just your hands. You'll be just fine. It's mounted back down again. It's solid. Got good pressure. Yeah, wiring and vacuum. Let me look into that real quick. Guys, so I just went over the manual one more time, and it looks like all we need to do now is go ahead and set the idle screw. What I'm gonna do is, it recommends not going more than a half a turn in as soon as it makes contact. So as soon as I can get my flathead in here. All right, so you see that there's a gap right there. I'm gonna turn this baby in. All right, and now it is touching. Well, right there, now it's touching. So I'm gonna give it just about a quarter turn. Now, the enrichment screws, there's one on this side right here, right there. And then there's another one down in here that's a little harder to get to. You can see it right here. And it recommends first starting out at turned in all the way, and then you back it out 1.5 turns. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. And in the meanwhile, I'm gonna remove this vacuum line just to make it a little easier. That's for the EGR. Let me go ahead and get this baby on here. Okay. So we're gonna go in until she seats. I really wish I had a longer flathead right now. I'm just a little too lazy to go digging for one. I'm just excited to start this baby, guys. Okay, so that's in. So that's half, 1, and then half. Okay, and then come over here to this side. Let's go ahead and tighten her all the way in. Let's see, can I get this by hand? Oh yeah. All right, so now she's all the way in. Half, 1, half. Let's go ahead and plug this vacuum line back in. Come on. Sometimes these vacuum lines are harder than the entire install. All right. Now, quick troubleshooting that I just read is, if you have to end up turning this idle screw, if you end up having to turn it in more than a half a turn, it said that 9 times out of 10 it's going to be because these gaskets are not seated properly. So before you go giving your vehicle lean conditions and then, burning up more fuel at higher revs and things like that, and probably having backfires or misfires, what you want to do is you want to go back and you want to double check all the gaskets. I know it's a pain, but trust me guys, it's definitely worth it to follow this book. This instruction manual has been beyond well put together. As for this anti-backfire tube, I just mocked it up real quick. I put it back on there. Everything else seems to be like it's hooked up properly. I don't have any, I can squeeze this tube here. How much coolant do I got? I know I lost some. Yeah, it's not showing a whole lot, but for a quick test startup, it'll be okay. Let's go ahead and jump inside. That's what I was doing, distributor. Let's see where it's at. Put her. What was that? Why did that move? Oh, that's the fuel pump. Okay, okay. Let's see what happens. It was sensing the pickup on that. Here we go, guys. Oh. Let me let off. Guys, I haven't been able to rev past 3,000 in a long time. So we got her in neutral. Let's see if we can go ahead and just turn up that idle just a hair to bring it up some. What'd I do with that flathead? Right here. Come on, baby. Get in there. All right, that's 1/2 turn. And she seems to be purring pretty good. Don't have any vacuum leak. Oh shit! Hell yeah, guys! All right. Hell yes! Oh, this is awesome. I don't need this. This is nothing now. Just gonna set this over here in the corner. Shove that in there. The coil's working good. Now I'm gonna adjust the cap and see where she likes to be. Well, she likes right there, I guess. Let's go check the gauges, see what we got on oil pressure and everything, make sure all that stuff's still good. This thing sat for a while. Good on oil pressure, voltage is looking good. Idling right about 1,000. Guys, I haven't seen that thing go past 3,000 forever. I was so sick and tired of this thing being in limp mode and only being able to do 64 miles an hour. Like, that was max, and if you try to go any faster, it would start bucking on you real hard. Got that. Lights. Everything's good. Directional's working. Let's see if we got AC now. AC was the biggest thing I was worried about, so we're going to turn this on. AC off first. She's still idling. It dropped it down a little bit. Let's go see if the AC clutch is engaged. It should be. Oh yeah, boys. And we got air conditioning. Oh, I cannot believe it. No fuel leaks, bone dry down there, guys. We are good to go for a quick little test run. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. Take them off the Cummins. There we go. Let's grab some tools real quick, put them up. I'm gonna put all these tools, take all the tools out from underneath the hood real quick, and then we'll go for a quick test run. I'll be right back. Took her for her first test run. She is running beautifully. I'm gonna make a couple of more small adjustments on here, and tomorrow on my way into work, I will try to get some footage. Where's the hood latch on here? I forgot. But yeah, tomorrow on my way to work, I will get some footage of driving it. Air conditioning works good. It bogs it down just a hair. Where the hell is the latch for this thing? I forgot. Oh, right here. So, as soon as I can, guys, I will get back with y'all and give y'all an update. I really hope that this does end up helping. Even if this video only helps one person out there, it will make it entirely worth it, because this entire ordeal of trying to find the right parts, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't work, and basically just, you know, flying blind into this entire project was an absolute nightmare. So I really hope that it's giving y'all some insight on what the whole project takes. Just know, guys, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, you know, a soccer mom who's never picked up a screwdriver in her life, and 10 being, you know, like a absolute NASA engineer, I would say that this only requires a skill level of, honestly, like a 3 at most. If you've taken the batteries out of the remote successfully and put them back in and not broken anything, you can do this install. I'm serious. The diagrams that are inside that book, more than helpful. I mean, this company, they've done a great job of putting together a proper product, and it's really a bolt-on kit. The only modification that I ever had to do was this right here, this one little washer, though both of them, that is. I just drilled them out to make them slightly bigger, and it fits on there, and it works beautifully. I mean, literally, like, first crank, she starts right up. I'm impressed. I am impressed, to say the least. So guys, take it easy, stay awesome, ride safe, ride often. If you've enjoyed this video or if it's helped you out, please leave a thumbs up. It really helps me out knowing what kind of content y'all appreciate. And as always, guys, stay awesome. So it's morning. I'm about to head into work. The hood is up because I was finishing off putting on the air filter today, and I really like this design with these clips because it allows you instant access to just quickly look down inside. You don't have to fuss with bolts or anything like that. Still no fuel leaks, and I had to jump the Nissan off with my dad's pickup because it sat forever and it's just an old battery. I need to go get a new one. So we're gonna go ahead and lower the hood here. I'm gonna go inside and grab a couple of things. There we go. I'm gonna go inside and grab a couple of things. Hey, Wiley. And head on into the shop. Maybe stop for breakfast along the way. Not sure yet. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see, what's the idle at? I kind of messed with the distributor cap too and adjusting it. It feels pretty good. Let's go ahead and shut the door. Where's the wipers at on this thing? All right, need new wipers. Definitely need new wipers. All right, let me set this down. Charger. Adjust my seat because I finally got them bolted back in after dealing with all the wiring underneath. Lights looking good. Let's go ahead and just go forward around the yard. That throttle is real responsive. I mean, she's got plenty of go power, that's for sure. Let's see what happens when we get on the road here. See if I can feel any dead spots. Brakes are touchy right now. Alright, shift. Got a little bit more pep, that's for sure. As soon as I can clear off my windshield, I'll be able to drive a little better. Let me get on a straightaway here and we'll do like a power test. Second. Feels pretty good. And then fifth. All right. Let me go put a battery in it real quick, and then we'll see what it's like on a warm startup. So I'm over here at the local O'Reilly's. I just put the new battery in. I know that y'all saw probably that my brake light was on and my e-brake was down whenever I last was driving it. So I knew that the brake fluid level was low. Not sure exactly how much it dropped since, you know, if I got a bad leak or something like that. I also don't know if it's, you know, just the sensor from sitting so long or what it could be. So I'm about to find out. But anyway, here is a fresh start when it is still fairly warm. The gauge is kind of slow, so I'm not gonna wait for it. But anyway, foot is not on the gas. Foot's down on the clutch only, and just like that, guys. I mean, beautifully starts right up. So yeah, anyway guys, this Weber has been an absolute amazing install. I greatly appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this video. I really hope that it's helped y'all out. Guys, straight out of the box, put it in, off she went. No fuss, no nothing, and I can't think of any other time that I've ever done something like this where the only thing I've ever had to do is just drill out a small hole inside of 2 washers, and that was it. Especially a full conversion like this. This kit is amazing, guys. Again, link will be down in the description of the install video, and I really hope that it helps some of y'all. All right, guys, y'all take it easy. Oh yeah, that's a lot better.
Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up.